Greetings and welcome. My name is Guy Lemunyon. This is a recreation of a talk given by me in 1991 at the National Association of Alcohol and Drug Abuse Counselors annual conference in San Antonio, Texas. The title for the presentation was Treatment for 12-Step Resistant Clients. At this time, I had begun volunteering for rational recovery and wanted a way to present rational recovery to counselors working in the field. So I use this small subterfuge. And in this presentation, I use myth versus fact presentation, and there are several of these. In the original presentation, of course, 1991, we used transparencies, and the presenter would stand at the front of the room and put the transparencies on a light projector that projected the transparency figures up onto a large screen. Now we have PowerPoint. So first, 12-step programs are necessary for recovery. Many, if not most, addiction treatment programs at that time were built on the 12 steps. And at that time, there was research to justify that willpower works as well as 12-step programs, and we'll get into this a little later. Another idea was you have to have been one to help one, that recovering counselors are more effective than non-recovering counselors. But there is no research to justify that, since research has been found that peer support counselors are effective as PhDs across the whole range. Another myth, AA and 12-step programs are not religious. You hear it said AA is a spiritual program. The courts, however, and there's plenty of evidence for this, have found AA to be religious in nature because it cites gods and prayer. Next myth, if clients do not participate in 12-step programs, they will relapse. And research at that time was finding very little correlation between 12-step programming and participation in treatment outcome. More recently, the correlation has been found to be a little bit stronger. However, any kind of aftercare program would likely work as well as a 12-step program. Next myth, AA is the most effective treatment available. And that's just because it was the largest organization at the time. However, the claims of effectiveness are grossly exaggerated. Sobriety outcomes with Alcoholics Anonymous, depending upon where you read, is 5% at the end of 12 months to 12.5% at the end of 12 months. So, and most drop out of AA. All people with alcoholism, then called alcoholics, were thought to be diseased. If you're not familiar with the Jellinek typing of alcohol subtypes, only gamma and delta types are diseased. If you're not familiar with this, it's worth some research. Also told to people is that it's a medical problem with a spiritual solution. It must be the only one, because I don't know any other medical problems that have a spiritual solution. And the fact is that secular solutions are growing in popularity beginning at that time. So I was volunteering at that time for rational recovery, an abstinence-based addiction recovery program started by Jack Trimpe, a social worker. Jack had developed his own drinking problem, and his wife said, it's the bottle or me, and he wanted to sober up. Jack was an atheist, and he rejected all this spiritual nature of the AA program. However, was a fan and user of cognitive behavioral techniques of Dr. Albert Ellis. So Jack used these techniques on himself, and the ABC method of rational emotive behavioral therapy, and developed the addiction voice recognition technique. Jack began rational recovery by taking a small ad in the paper and getting a room at the library. As compared to AA, Alcoholics Anonymous is based on emotions or feeling states, has a spiritual basis, and is Platonic in nature. Conversely, rational recovery is cognitively oriented, a good fit for cognitive behavioral therapy, and Aristotelian, being skeptical of many things that are told. In 1994, Rational Recovery morphed into an organization called Smart Recovery. And at this time, I'm a volunteer for Smart Recovery. For more information, please feel free to visit smartrecovery.org. And thank you for watching. I hope this was instructional.